Hi guys, Jenny with On Fire Fit, and today I am stretching at the bar, so I hope that you will come along with me. I will be teaching my booty ballet class here in a few minutes, but I thought I would show you one of the stretches that we do in our class. So join along, and you can use a counter. You don't have to use a ballet bar, but I do love my ballet bars. So it is always something that you can get into with just home kind of things like your chair or a countertop or the table. So don't feel like you're only able to do it if you have a ballet bar. Okay, let's go. Starting with the leg in a bent position in front of you. And like I said, you could put this on a chair or a table or the counter. And I just kind of work around trying to stretch out my hip. If that's too high for you, you can also put your foot on a chair so it would be lower. And you just kind of move around until you feel that hip kind of loosening up a little bit. Now let's do it on the other side. Now take that leg over to the side, and you can either flex or point your foot for this. And you're just going to take a nice reach over with the opposite arm. And this feels really good, not only on your leg, inner thigh, but also on that left side of your body, your torso, because you're getting a nice stretch. This is something that a lot of my students say that they do in the morning to warm up and feel like their body doesn't ache. So now you're going to take your other hand reaching the other way. Now we have turned so the belly button is facing the foot, and you're going to reach forward there. I'm not terribly flexible, but it is always something that is a work in progress. You'll do this and then repeat it on the other side. As part of the tradition of stretching in the spirit, here is one of my favorite verses. It's from 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. But as it is written, what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no human heart has conceived, what God has prepared for those who love him. That is one of the most reassuring verses to know that God has bigger plans for us than we even realize, but bigger plans than we have for ourselves. Here I am doing a little stretch forward. This feels really good on that supporting leg. Now we're going to reverse everything and do it on the other side. Here's a verse from Colossians that might be a little tough to take depending on your situation, but I think the world would be a whole lot better if we practiced this. Therefore, as God's chosen ones, holy and dearly loved, put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another if anyone has a grievance against another. Just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you are also to forgive. That was Colossians chapter 3, verse 12 and 13. And for me, this is something that sometimes I have to backtrack and go and ask for forgiveness. Even if the other person had some kind of fault, I need to take my part and deal with that and let the Lord handle what their part is and not feel justified in holding unforgiveness towards anyone, and it just frees you up to live a more peaceful life and just to know that you're not holding on to any kind of bitterness or unforgiveness, because it just destroys you inside. And the sooner we let go of that and let God deal with whatever the other person may have as their issue, just focus on what is your part and move on. By the way, here's a little plug for On Fire Fitwear, if you noticed my sweatshirt. This one I also like for the hip, and you just cross one ankle over the other thigh, and then you just sit back as far as you want, feeling that stretch through the hip flexor. I tend to be pretty tight in my hips, so this one feels really good. And you'll see I'm just kind of moving around until I feel a tight spot, and then I'll hold it a little bit. Here I go in a second position deep plie, and this again is going to get you a stretch through your legs. It's also really good burn in a good way, and I just take some stretches over, reaching over with one arm and then the other, and then I'll do a few with my plie and straight. And on this, you want to really pay attention to your knees driving over your center toe. You don't want to roll forward and let your knee go over your big toe, because then you will start to hurt your knee. So be careful with how deep you go, especially with that exercise. Here I am using a foam roller. So if you don't have one of these, you could use a tennis ball or some ball that's like semi-firm, and you're just gonna roll that thigh, and you wanna go from below your butt bone, your sits bone, and above your knee. So don't roll over a joint. And then here I'm doing it on the side below my hip and ahead of my knee. I don't want to go all the way over my knee, but this is one of those areas that really feels tight. That's your IT band, and most people it's pretty tight. If you are trying to get to be able to run better or walk without knee pain, you probably need to be doing this, because the IT band really affects your knees a lot. So make sure you are getting a good stretch. I can link below the foam roller that I use, but like I said, it's not that expensive, and you could use some other thing like a ball, but I think this has better control, so I would recommend a foam roller for that. So much for being with me on this Stretching in the Spirit series where we used the bar. And if you like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or any future videos you would like to see, I would love to hear from you. And I hope that you are living your life on fire.